and Impunity. And according to chat, I talk rather slowly, so I'll try to wrap my way through this, right? So we did see Brenchong and Impunity going up against their respective teams earlier on today. Brenchong going up against ASN Esports, and of course we have Impunity going up against Infamous just the previous round. So anyways, they did kind of play well, although the other team were just better in their macro plays for that particular game. And then we are down in the third place match between Brenchong and Impunity. Just a quick run through the roster. I know the viewers have went through the roster before. I've went through the rosters with the viewers before, but this is just a quick recap. For the side of Brenchong, we have Mr. G, Majin, Sink1, Dead Han, and Lim Ao. And of course, on the side of Impunity, we have Quarter 4, Death Q, Kerchows, Inked, and Blue City. We've seen a lot of impressive plays and, of course, a lot of good macro decision making coming out from the side of Impunity. And whether or not Brenchong can surpass that of Impunity coming from the Challenge Series is another thing. Anyways, I'm pretty sure draft is ready. So without further ado, let's hop straight into draft. But with that, as we are going into draft, I must bring in my most awesome analyst, of course. Welcome back, Rubber Monkey.
Hey guys, great to do the analysis draft for the team of Impunity. So unfortunately, Impunity did not take any game from Infamous and now is opted to face off with Brenchong. So let's see, the first ban will be Batiste. Now, that's quite a particular unique ban in my opinion, because that is more of a target ban towards whether or not a team can play Batiste or not, and it's really situational ban in my opinion. So it's quite puzzling why they do there. And we also can see an Idris ban right there by Brenchong, and it could fall into the same tactic where they ban Idris and then follow up by a Baron. And if Impunity caught that up, they could actually take Baron off. So we see the first pick, which is Lyra, which is we have seen all of the games, and all the games Lyra did so amazing job, allowed so much utility, allowed so much sustain, and allowed sneaky plays like a backdoor that happens between Impunity and Infamous. So it's a roamer to watch out, and it's a roamer that's ban worthy or pick worthy, first pick worthy. So it's a great pick. And followed by Glaive. Now this hero is definitely amazing hero. It's really a double-edged hero where it gives you a high engage power. However, if you cannot find that engage, Glaive cannot sustain really well in any of the team fights as well.
I mean, it is just down to the afterburn and whether or not the afterburn do connect. And that is really just one thing. Like you said, Glaive is a double-edged sword. If you do miss your afterburn, or if you punt your enemies away and away from your team, then it will spell problems for you. Anyways, just a quick note to all the viewers out there. Brenchong is on the blue side, and of course Impunity on the red side. We do see a Lyra being picked up, and of course a Glaive as well in response to that Lyra. And of course, a Sky being banned out, followed by a Samuel. You know, with a Glaive being picked up, Glaive is such a very good, reliable flex pick. You don't quite expose your draft too much with a Glaive. You kind of just pick it up, you know, as a flex pick. You can run it as a captain. If not, you can run it as weapon carrier as well. We do see a Celeste being picked up for the side of Impunity. What do you think so far? I mean, Celeste is quite meta at this point in time, but we cannot forget a sustain coming out from Lyra for the side of Brenchong.
Yeah, and here's the thing, if the viewers out there take note of the match against Infamous and Impunity. Infamous was constantly banning that Celeste. Now, is that a reason why do you ban Celeste against Impunity? Because, in my opinion, they should have a really good Celeste player. That's why Infamous opted up to ban Celeste out of the blue. And now Celeste is in the hands of Impunity, so it is a hero to be watched upon.
You know, honestly, if you actually made that as a proper pun, as in out of the blue, because Blue City will be the jungler for the side of Impunity, I am thoroughly impressed. Anyways, we do see the Baron being picked up on the side of Brenchong in response to that Celeste. And honestly, I think in response, or rather to close up their team comp with that Baron, they really need a peel for the Baron, especially when going up against this Glaive who can just punt Baron into the team. I'm expecting something along the lines of saying, I don't know. At this point in time, Black Feather would be a good pick. Taka is as well. I mean, Black Feather has got good poke against the jungle Celeste. But then, of course, opting for Taka, you immediately do take down that Celeste. You kind of hard counter Celeste because of your Chitin over those core collapses. And, of course, you can kind of avoid glaives after burn if you want, if you Chitin and if you Kaku in to engage.
Yeah, I do agree. And generally, with a Baron pick, you usually don't want to pick a second carry, but something like Brenchong pick Celeste and Baron on the first match. But with a Taka pick, this gives much more space on Baron because when a Taka goes in, they have to really fully focus on Taka being that nuisance over there. And Baron is just free shooting on the heroes, and he won't be targeted on because if you focus on Baron, and then you have a problem to deal with Taka. So I like the draft on Brenchong's side. Whereas for Impunity, we have that triple stun comp. So Impunity is known for the team that is well coordinated. They really know what to peel down on. So we will see who execute much better, but I'm favoring Brenchong's composition right now.
Definitely, I must agree with you. Brenchong looks like they have the better composition with the Taka being the distraction, and of course the Baron being the back lunge, just able to put out so much damage with the jump jets. And of course, you cannot forget and discount the fact that Lara is there to help with the early sustain that Baron do not have when put up against a glaive, and of course the escapability that Imperial Sigil can provide as well. I mean, the Bright Bulwark going up against a glaive can just put glaive and stun glaive out of his afterburn after all. And like you said, but then on the side of Impunity, they like to run comms that they can chain CCs into. And likewise for this match, for the side of Impunity, we do see a glaive, we have the Celeste, we have the Katrina, and as you said, this is a double stun comp. If they can execute this team comp well, then they can definitely take down that Baron almost immediately and just make that Baron useless for the entirety of the team fight. I mean, they will have the number game, the number advantage if if they can and if they do manage to take out that Baron in the early stage of the fight, and of course afterwards deal with the Taka, because honestly Taka, when it comes into the late game, he's really just a nuisance. Of course in the early game you have to consider the fact that he has got high burst because of the aftershock that's generally built on Taka. In fact, there is this new Taka build that I've been seeing a lot, and that is a tension bow into aftershock, or even double weapon blade into storm crown into aftershock and then tension bow. That has got a lot of burst.
Yeah, I do agree. So as we recap over here, Brenchong has actually a lot of strategies to take into mind. They can either play a double full glass cannon heroes where a Taka is that instant burst Taka and that Baron is that high damage Baron, or they can play that utility Taka, which goes in, soaks up most of the damage, apply those Atlas, and then just peel for the carry, which is the Baron. So we will see what Brenchong does. But we all must know that this is the first time that Brenchong is facing up against a high tier T, which is Impunity, as they just risen from the Challenger series. So that's some amount of pressure over there. But if they manage to take one game away from Impunity, I'm sure that will give an entire confident boost to the entire team.
Okay, that is done with me, as we are about to hop onto the foes. Casting this game alongside Rubber Monkey, we have I Request a Duo. Take it away.
Yep. So before I Request Duels comes into the match, first match against Impunity and Brenchong is about to begin, and we'll see a standard rotation between three of the teams going up into the jungle. And I'm pretty sure that Brenchong is opting to farm up the game first and see Impunity. Quarter Voice doing his regular rotation, putting pressure into the jungle, and immediately having that lane dominance and also that jungle insights towards their team. So just some exchange hits over here between Lyra and Catherine. And this is a good thing to note for the viewers out there, that as a roamer, as level 1, what Quarter Voice is doing is providing as much insight as possible for the team. So instead of just having ambient go, which what regular roamers does, this allows their team to actually position themselves much better at the early game. And we can see over here that Catherine is actually holding up for this team, and Celeste and all of them are rotating down to the jungle, so to just take down that main minion at the middle. Okay, so early up visions from Catherine. She's putting up, getting all those flares up ready and scout traps, and we can just see standard exchanges between the lanes. Farm wise, we can see that actually DevQ is having lower farm compared to Baron, although he was in the lane earlier. So that's just quite puzzling. He should have the highest CS compared to Baron in this lane factor over here. So if Impunity having this triple stun comp, they should apply more pressure in the jungle, because if they allow this Taka to just roam freely and farm, he will get stronger and stronger towards the late game, and eventually he will be a big threat to the team Impunity. And the problem is they are just allowing Baron to farm at the lane, so nothing much is really going on right now. And here comes the engagement after burn into the Baron. And there you have it, it's triple CC comp, but Baron just manages to... Oh no, he got taken down. So he used his boots over there, but he's still unable to run away from Celeste's normal hit. So Impunity making full use of their composition over here, taking down Baron. That first blood is really important, and not only the first blood, but however, putting a pause to Baron's farm momentum over there is really important, because you don't want Baron to reach into that late game where he becomes a monster of a hero. Okay, so now we're seeing that over here, Baron manages to take down the glaive over there, and DevQ's undermining what Brenchong taking the opportunity to take down the glaive over there, and unfortunately Baron also traded his life for that. So we can see over here the goal exchanges are quite fair among each team. There's not much of a difference over here. The most important thing here is that who reaches level 6 first, which is Blue CD or Sing C1, if you take a close look, because once Sing C1 reaches his level 6 and able to obtain that ultimate extract, so he's able to put on much more pressure and take control of the game. Whereas if Blue CD manages to hit his level 8 first, his Heliogenesis will have that maximum zoning range, which then keeps Team Impunity into a more comfort zone in that manner. So we can see over here there will be a jungle engagement, not much happening right there, and it's just small exchanges going on. So
right, that was some awesome solo casting coming.
I try my best.
I'm sorry,
no worries.
Experiencing some issues alongside, but then we do see a skirmish coming out, and Sync1 is taken down almost immediately by that of DevQ. That was quite impressive, I mean, coming out from you. I mean, you haven't quite done solo casting at all, have you?
No, I just...
Oh, but hold that thought, Sync1!
Yeah. And there we go, a triple stun combo. As expected from Impunity, that triple stun combo coming up from them. Well-coordinated team, well-trained team. But we cannot rule out Brenchong. They are the late game masters, so we are just waiting. They're just stalling out and making sure that the Baron is strong enough and fat enough for that late game monster of what the hero is.
I mean, however strong or fat enough you are, if you are forced to go into an early armor, then on top of that, you are going to build that Serpent's Mask on top, not the Sorrow Blade, you are gonna be in for a lot of trouble because I mean just look at the items pickup on Blue Sea and even DevQ. DevQ has already completed the Sorrow Blade. Mr. Jim is going down to get hold of the Serpent's Mask, but then damage-wise, DevQ will definitely out-damage that of Baron, Mr. Jim on Baron. Another fight is happening. Snad is being used. Oh, Lara is being stunned out. Lara is taken really low, and DevQ manages to pick out Lara. Mr. Jim might be going in for more, but Blue City is there for the follow-up. DevQ is taken down, and Blue City take down Baron in exchange, and they are going to proceed to siege this tower because, I mean, they have a Lara on their team. And they should have the sustain, but then that is not quite working out for the side at all. And Sync 1 will be going down while trying to protect that turret of his. What do you think? I mean, you did say that the side of Brenchong, they are putting out a stronger team comp because, you know, they have the sustain and you know, it's just so much stronger. But then we do see here Impunity is just executing their team comp flawlessly.
Well, there's a lot of things to put here because we don't usually see Brenchong getting engaged so often like that because for one, the fight started off with Lyra face checking the bush and immediately got taken down. And after that, they have no roamer. So it was just a follow-up on the other two carries and that led to a turret taking down as well. So the problem is here is the pressure of facing off against Impunity taking its toll on Brenchong. Because I'm seeing a lot of small mistakes that Brenchong should not make with the Lyra especially, and they should really just calm down, rethink their strategy, and just play it safe while allowing Mr. James to farm up.
Definitely, I must agree with you. I mean, a lot of times, I mean, we all must understand that Lara isn't exactly the tankiest roamer out there, especially against the triple stun comp when Merciless Pursuit can be chained into a car collapse and, of course, into an afterburn if needed as well. And DevQ has got good escapability on that afterburn if it calls for it. You know, the side of Impunity is just looking so much stronger in terms of their micros and macros. You say earlier on that, you know, the side of Brenchong they're not used to being engaged on, but a lot of games we actually did see is always and constantly Brenchong is just at the back line, to the back foot. They kind of lose out in the early game, but somehow they just get a grip later part into the game and they kind of pull it off. Like, that's where the term Brand Corner came about. So honestly, you may have your points right there, but I must disagree with you. Brenchong is used to already back farm, just sit back lines, just turtle up and just farm. Oh, Majin may be caught out right now and does get stunned out. Arcane Passage is used to run away and escape from the onslaught of damage coming out from the side of Impunity. Crystal Sentry will be taken by the side of IMP. Just to push the lead even further, they are definitely going to go for that gold mine. And like you said, the side of Brenchong, they are just playing so haphazardly. They are not considering the fact that there is so much damage. Oh, Majin is the first to go down, followed by probably Mr. Jim as well on that Baron. Anyways, to all the viewers out there, I must apologize. I'm not a play-by-play caster, but I'm trying my hardest, yeah? So if you guys have got any complaints whatsoever, I deeply apologize for that. Anyways, Impunity seems like they are steamrolling through this game as well. They are already onto the second turret of the side of Brenchong, and that has been taken without much contest as well. They did, and they must try to go for that gold mine as well, just further their little lead.
Mm-hmm. And this is the thing that Brenchongs have to consider that, look, I know we're down by 7 kills and we have to get a grip on ourselves, put up more vision, because right now Impunity is just on the roll. They're just going to catch you out by any means possible. If you're going to face check the push, they're going to catch you out. If you're alone, they're going to catch you out. So Brenchong, like you said, they are brand corner. They should know that this is coming towards them. They should put up as much vision as possible. Be aware that Impunity is going to catch them whenever possible, and just trust in their late game, because right now it's looking quite grim for them to take on any engagement, which is happening right now.
Oh, Blast Tremor is being put out, but there is no... Oh, Mr. Jim is going down so fast just by, you know, just by DevQ alone. I mean, there was not much CC chain coming up from there. Arcane Passage is used once again, but I don't think Majin will be able to get away. And Solar Storm do catch Majin on that Lyra up. They are down to the anchor turret and not for long. So Impunity is looking really strong coming into this game as well. There is no denying that they have a much stronger comp from the start. I mean, they kind of won draft, right? So they managed to pick up that Celeste, who is very strong. They managed to pick up Catherine, who can chain CCs with Celeste. And we saw an impressive engage coming on from Impunity as well with that Blast Tremor.
Yeah, and with earlier on in the draft stage, we were talking about how much Taka can provide for the heal for Baron. But right now, if you're playing from the back foot, is Taka really the good pick for the Brenchong brand itself, which is brand corner? Because Taka, he needs to put down pressure. But right now, it seems that if he were to actually start an engagement, it would just mean fatal for the team of Brenchong. So they have to really reconsider their strategy and then think that, are we counter engaging only, or are we just going to sit back and just turtle up and just hope that Impunity makes a mistake?
I mean, even turtling up may not be an option right now. Just look at Mr. Jim. Mr. Jim is only sitting on a Serpent's Mask, which is not ideal at all. I mean, as a Baron, you can't quite deal out a lot of damage, right? Substantially. You can only do out burst damage after your jump jet. So I don't think Serpent's Mask is an ideal item pickup. That would just stun and just reduce the amount of damage you can put out with with your jump jets and your double shots that comes out afterwards. And also, like, just look at the gold difference alone. Impunity is sitting at a stunning 9k gold difference. Oh, Majin may be caught out right now, but Bright Wall is used just to deter Quatervor. They are pushing down lane right now. Impunity may be looking to end this game as early as, you know, even before Kraken comes out.
Yeah, and I do think they can end this game quite early, because there's nothing to actually pin down Blue City. He's just so safe at the back line. And if there's any overextension, you have the glaive to worry about. So right now, in Brenchong's position, it looks really horrible.
Is going in. That you stun up Majin. Majin is down almost immediately. Next target will be Mr. Jim, but Mr. Jim do jump jets away. Now it's down to Taka. Taka is taken down to half health. Auto attack from Celeste do follow Sync 1, but he does manage to go into base. Hopefully, no! He does get torn down and just dropped by Solar Storm coming out from Blue City on that Celeste. That fight, like the side of Brenchong has got no answer whatsoever, and I'll just hold that thought. Before that, Majin may be taken down low, or maybe it will be Deathq that will be going down. Mr. G may be looking for more, but they just decide to back off.
Yeah, and like you said, that Brenchong, it looks like they have no way out, because no matter how much they turtle, they Impunity have that answer with that Celeste at the back line. And before that, saying all those, it was again Majin not having that vision and allowing Impunity to just take a surprise jump onto their team of Brenchong. So they really have to take note of this, and here goes the engagement.
Majin is taken down low. Fountain is forced to be popped. I mean, Blue City is taken down low as well. Sync 1 maybe next target, but Majin is priority. Sync 1 is left together with Mr. Jim. They can put out a lot of damage if they want to. Iron Cannon is used, but it hits nobody. Blue City successfully TPs back to base. Sync 1 is looking for more. Sync 1 is in between two turrets. Quatervor is still holding up. Blue City is already back, trying to protect and hold on to this turret as much as possible. That engage there, what do you think went wrong?
Wow, I'm really surprised with that engage, because I think it's just underestimating the survivability of Lyra. Yes, I seen from that engagement, that glaive did not land his final hit and allowing Lyra to survive. So Lyra manages to put down another Imperial Sigil and heal up Mr. Jim. So he was sustaining glaive's damage, and that allowed him to survive. And they open up Celeste, so Taka is able to actually land down some damage and forcing Celeste to back down from the fight. So it was really a surprise turnover, and we could see a brand corner coming up game as
Well,
well.
I mean, the side of Brenchong should really just continue this. They should go for that blue city. Oh, Majini is taken down low. They might look for a re-engage. Sync 1, just Kaizen. Fountain is being used. Blast Tremor is being blocked out. Mr. G may be the target right now. Jump Jets do make him feel safe, but then he's taken down low by the solar stuff. Oh god, there is so much happening, but Brenchong is still surviving for so long. Blue City maybe next target. Blue City maybe survive this, but then that was such. I thought the side of Brenchong might have a turnover, taking down Death Q so early into the fight, and I kind of lost count there. How many times I said, oh, because I'm just impressed. I mean, what is that damage coming out from Blue City on this Celeste?
Yeah,
maybe looking to end game right now. I mean, they are just going for the Tyrant.
Yeah, they could end game.
Even, yeah.
So there we have it. Like, there's a reason why Infamous banned Celeste from Impunity, because Blue City on this Celeste is just a monster. He's able to farm up just in time, get that mounts and mounts amount of damage, and just press down the team of Brenchong, and they just couldn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if I want to go do a post-match analysis, there is really nothing much. It was just Impunity, just knowing their heroes so damn well, and they are just pushing to all of their advantage, every little advantage they can get over Brenchong, they just push for it. Anyways, I mean, I have got nothing to say. I was doing play-by-play at whole point, and I'm just impressed all the way.
Well,
so what do you have to say?
Yeah. First of all, we have to give props to Brenchong because they managed to at least show a glimmer of hope in one of the engagement. So that was quite surprising where they managed to juggle the damage enough. But saying that is because they have to look upon that game and actually to pull themselves together, because I really think that the pressure is getting to them. They have what it takes to actually put down a proper fight. But the problem is, and it happens throughout on and on again in this game, where Majin was getting caught constantly, and that opened up Mr. Jim to any assault from Team Impunity. So the side of Brenchong is they have to get their confidence together and says that, look, we just have to play our very best like what we used to do and be much more cautious within Team Impunity. We cannot let any opportunity or any engagement from coming up from Team Impunity, and we have to bring it to the late game as we are so damn good at the late game.
Yeah, but there is one problem with being so damn good in a late game if you get snowballed. And really, honestly, Impunity really just played well. I'm so sorry. My throat is so dry. Now I understand how Alex, or rather I request to do a feel when he goes to play-by-play. I'm surprised his throat can stay so lubricated throughout the entirety of the game, I swear. Anyways, I hope draft is ready, and I'm sure the viewers are ready. So without further ado, let's just hop straight in to draft.
The draft begins.
All right, so coming into this draft, we did see Impunity coming out with the triple stun comp. You know, in several patches back, I mean even several seasons back, the triple stun usually is not made out of glaive, it's made out of jewel because of the AoE stun. But I mean, glaive put it off as well. We did see something similar, but then that kind of lost out in the late game. But then Impunity managed to pull it off to the best extent. We do see Impunity banning out the Celeste. What are your thoughts coming into this draft?
Well, Impunity banning out the Celeste, that's quite interesting because they were so good with the Celeste, but maybe, oh yes, Brenchong, Sing C1 is also really good with that Celeste, because if you allow that Celeste pick to be open, in my opinion, it's not first pick worthy, but it definitely is first pick worthy for the side of Team B, correct? But in Team A, you would like to grab either Grace or Lyra, that provided that peel for the team and so on. So maybe in that thought, Impunity just said, look, we ban out the Celeste, we take a strong roam, and then we build a composition around that. And Sing C1, we already ban out his best heroes, so then we are also at an advantage.
Definitely, I must agree with you. But then we do see a Grace being picked up for the side of Impunity, and we did see in several games back when Grace are being picked, Graces are being picked. Grace played very, very well. I mean, even when Brenchong picked up the Grace, they did come back in the late game as well. I mean, Grace brings so much utility and even CCs to any teams possible. Just echoing that holy divine intervention is just insane for the team just to upkeep their survivability. I think in return, Brenchong should opt for the Lyra, and they do go for the Lyra.
Yeah, and remember that Brenchong actually struggled with a Grace pick against Team ASN, and that was Tether Boy being quite aggressive on the hero Grace. And we could say similarly when Quarter Voice plays Grace, he's as well quite aggressive on this hero. So I'm seeing that Brenchong has to refigure out their strategy because they are going to be under pressure again, if I'm not wrong, in this game. Even though with that Lyra, because without that Lyra, even with that Lyra pick, they usually struggle with a Grace as their opponent.
I must agree with you. And there is one thing I must say though. Quartervore is a really aggressive player where the situations call for it. And at this point in time, I mean, with their confidence upkeep from the previous game going up against Brenchong, I'm sure they will be very, very aggressive in this game. I'm not surprised, even if Quartervore does decide to go for that double weapon blade or a single weapon blade in the early part of the game. We do see a Baron being banned out for the side of Impunity. Just do not want to face Baron anymore.
Yeah, because giving Baron allows that late game comeback. So it seems that Team Impunity really understand how Brenchong draft because they took down two of their best heroes, which is Celeste and Baron. So now Team Brenchong has to really pull out their second ace of under their sleeves, and we will see what kind of heroes they can pull out at this point of time. I would really like the pick of Vox right now because a Vox and a Lyra is really a good pick. You have that constant kiting around Vox and that sustainability, but a Castro works as well. A lot of people would pick second pick as a Castro because of that flexibility Castro allows. He allows it to be a weapon laner or a CP jungler. So this allows Brenchong to have a more open draft compared to a more closed draft.
Definitely. I mean, it is kind of a question mark on a box for that Castro at least. Whether or not it will be played in lane, I think Castro will be played in lane though because of the lane presence that Castro provides. If Brenchong is so used to being Baron, playing Baron, then Castro provides similar lane pressure as well. And of course, on top of that, you have the sustain coming out from Lara. So I don't think, but then we do see a Vox being picked up on the side of Impunity. Problem with that, Vox can out-sustain the Castro in lane by the early poison shift. And of course, you know, we do see Samuel as well being picked up just to round out the comp on the side of Impunity. If they do go for the Crystal Castro must really watch out when Samuel hits that level 2.
Yeah, and giving Samuel out, I'm actually quite surprised by tonight's game that nobody actually immediately take up that Samuel because we have been seeing so many Samuel games and the amount of pressure that Samuel provides even from the early game up to the late game is immense. This hero is such a valuable pick. It's such a well-rounded hero pick that it allows to give the team advantage at the early game and it's still a threat at the late game. So having this composition at the team of Impunity side, they are looking really, really solid. You have that sustain from Grace, that Vox is a monster by itself, and Samuel has his own passive ability, if I'm not mistaken, Corrupted Genius.
Genius,
which allows him to sustain as well at the early game. So you're going to see a very aggressive play coming up from Impunity again, and we'll see what we will see what Brenchong will pick for the last pick, which I'm informed it's the Sky, if I'm not right.
So Sync 1 is really comfortable on this Sky as well. I mean, the side in the first game as well, we do see a Sky being banned out from the side of Impunity. I think it is in respect to Sync 1's Sky. So we will see Sync 1 on this Sky. And of course, to round out the comp of Castro and Lara. I mean, Sky does well into Samuel because you do force Samuel out of Drifting Dark if you lock onto him and then Suri strike away from the direction of the Drifting Dark. So, you know, honestly, any closing thoughts for the team comp? Because honestly, although you say you like the team comp coming outside of Impunity, but otherwise I find both of these team comps, both of these teams and what they've drafted rather even overall. Granted, Castro is a monster in the late game, and then of course you have Vox who has just stopped at triple a weapon, and that's all that Vox would do. But then, of course, we cannot deny and discount the fact that Grace is a monster with the healing in when she hits a level 12 as well.
Yeah, and it fits, in my opinion, the last pick Sky. It fits Brenchong a lot because Brenchong likes to play from the back foot, if we've been discussing from the previous games. So with this composition, they can safely stay at the back line, just reacting to whatever Impunity has. And the problem is, if Impunity overextend, Brenchong can really punish all of this overextension. So we'll see, it comes down to execution, but it's really important to take note of all the jungle engagement at the early first 5 minutes, because if Sing C1 manages to hold down the Samuel and take control of the jungle, then it's pretty much Brenchong's game to push down the towers, to mow down the game. But however, if Samuel manages to control the jungle, then Sing C1 will have a hard time getting his items up and to be a threat throughout the game.
Definitely, I must agree with you. I mean, but we saw how Impunity plays, and Impunity plays really, really very aggressively, especially paired up with a level 2 power spike Samuel. And of course, on top of that, we have Benediction constantly coming up from this Grace to just bug Sync1 and Gang out of their own jungle. So I'm quite excited to come into this game and of course, you know, and see how this will play out. But before all of that excitement from me, I would like to introduce to all of the viewers, I request a duo who will be talking alongside Rubber Monkey for this game. How are you doing, buddy?
Hello, hello. Good to be back into this matchup. Apologies if I was not able to join on the previous one due to technical difficulties, but I'm sure you did a great job as I was listening along to the two of you. And by the sounds of it, the last match definitely went in Impunity's favor, and you know there wasn't too much Brenchong could do. But I heard Luxura saying that now we're looking at maybe a bit more of a balanced draft coming into this one. And would you agree with that statement, Rubber Monkey?
Yeah, I do agree with that statement. Both of the composition has their play style to play on. You're looking at the team of Impunity, which is a Fox, Grace, and Samuel. Expect a lot of pressure coming up from Grace and Samuel to push down and obtain that advantage. And on the side of Brenchong, you see a Lyra, Castro, and Sky, which is able to actually punish those aggression if they are able to play it right.
And we see Grace being very aggressive at the start. Might get caught out, however, but it's going to be up to get out there safely. And luckily, no target lock going down onto her. You'd think with the Lyra, the slows are going to help out with that. And even just helping out Mr. Jim get those glimmer shots on target. And it's going to be Impunity, the first ones to try go for this middle treant. And Brenchong kind of backing off. Both teams actually decide to back off in the end there. Yeah, and no one's going to go for it. Or perhaps, no, Cordova just going to back in front of it. So you can see these teams are respecting each other, at least, and being a bit more cautious. And I think for the side of Impunity, and you mentioned it, they have a very good engage there. But I don't see why they didn't play that mid treant a bit more aggressively and just try to get a bit of advantage in the jungle.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, that although, and as you said, it's the respect between teams, but the problem is that whoever obtained that first blood or control of the jungle basically wins the game, because that determines how much control you have. It's either a Sky mowing down the entire team of Team Impunity, or the Samuel applying so much pressure that Team Brenchong is going to suffer. So both teams understanding their composition and just waiting for that power spike and just waiting for that perfect opportunity, not taking any risk, because they don't want to take this either to a third game.
I think it went over to Sky. I couldn't quite catch that. It looks like Cordova has it, and they are able to pick up the first blood as well onto Samuel there. So you can see the triple crystal bit. He didn't even opt out for the boots. He's now going to pick up the boots, actually picking up travel boots at this stage. It's going to help with the mobility there. And I always think, I wonder what you have to say on this as a pro player, but going back on your first back, it's always a good idea to pick up your first boots. But in that situation, I think for Samuel, he has the mobility well in that drifting dark that he didn't need it at that point and instead opted out for the crystal bit. But do you think for most situations it is correct to say it's a good idea to go for those boots on your first back?
I think it comes down to your comfort of your play, because if you're a really aggressive player and you just want, you know that you can, oh wait, an engagement's coming on there first.
It looks like Martian gonna have to use the bright bulwark to get on there, and it's gonna be drifting dark, but isn't used to its full potential because Mr. Jim actually able to hold down the fort with a few glimmer shots coming out, and a lot of damage coming out from both teams, but I think the sustain from the Lyra there is going to help out the side of Brenchong's, and they're going to just continue to defend this turret fairly well, but Impunity holding the aggression as you expected.
Yeah, and looking from that, we can actually see that although Brenchong has that sustain, we have some technical issue there, but as I was saying, that even though Brenchong has a sustain, Samuel provides so much pressure that it just pushes your lane backwards, and that's something that Brenchong is going to have on and on and on towards this game. So they're gonna have to see how they're gonna handle this, and let's see what they're gonna do. But currently we have a technical issue so far, and it's going on, and we'll see how these players are going to play out this game.
And I guess it really comes down, you said the advantage so far in favor of Impunity after getting that first blood, but in terms of gold, there isn't really too much difference, as it's only 9.9k over to the 9.7, and I think it's so far what we can determine from these two teams is that pressure you were talking about by Impunity, that they're being able to apply to this lane, and how that's going to transition into the mid game. Because if they manage to continue to have control over this, and they're the ones kind of dictating the way these fights go, I think they're going to have a very good time for objective control, such as when Goldmine comes up, and just being able to force Brenchong back to base more often in the way that they're going to be able to take the first turret, I imagine. But in saying that, they do have that Lyra there, who's trying their best with the Imperial Sigil. I just don't think it's enough. You said this Samuel is, you need to be cautious of him because the damage he's putting out this stage is already immense. Well, it looks like Martian might get caught out by Quartervore and Def Q there. They do go down, and there's no return kill following up with that, so that's another kill going over to the side of Impunity. They need to be careful here because Cincy1 actually finding themselves out with Blue City. Gonna drop the death from above, but it's not gonna be a fight you can win. You have to back off from that. Cincy1 going to be low and leaving Bren in the 1v3 situation up in lane. This could be bad, and this could be that first turret that we were talking about going over to Impunity.
Yeah, and Team Impunity has been doing this so consistently that they know how to travel as a unit and to actually just push down the towers within time. They know their objectives, and this is how Team Impunity stays as a top team. They know how to travel together. They know how much pressure they can do, because naturally, if you have a team with Lyra as your roamer, you know that you can sustain. But because of the 3-man engagement and the 3-man pressure, that sustain wasn't enough. So Team Impunity knowing their composition really well, and props to them.
And this is what we talked about in the fight between Impunity and Infamous, that why it's so close, because both teams just had that experience there. Brenchong's also having team members from the Pro Series as well. They have experience with them, but it really is on a different level, and you talked about this in terms of pressure, and I think for you, you could understand that quite well when going up against teams like Impunity and Infamous, because they are the top dogs of SEA as it stands, and we're going to see if they can prove that here in this team fight, as we see Quartervore going in on that Grace and Blue City, following up with the Drifting Dark, the Empowered Malice and Verdicts, and it's just looking for a kill here on Cincy1. There's going to be the Fountain used on the side of Brenchong, should be up to keep them alive, but can they return the damage? It's not enough to just stay alive at this point, because Impunity will push on through. There's a one-shot, one-kill going on to Quartervore. Quartervore doesn't quite have that level 6 yet, so isn't going to have the Divine Intervention to help with the healing. And there's going to be the trade kill. DefQ picking up the Lyra, and Sky picking up the Samuel. And Cincy1 doing a lot of work on this Sky at the moment, picking up the double, gets the target lock onto Quartervore. Death from above lands, where it gets blocked out, and they're going to look for the triple, but Quartervore a bit too tanky right now, and it doesn't look like they're going to find it. But Cincy1 with the turnaround, that Frostburn really helping out on the Sky. Always a good pickup Sky, and I'm sure you know or you've heard that is previous to the match that I would cheer for the team that has the Sky, being a Sky main. But yeah, looking at this, the Frostburn's going to help them in terms of helping Kestrel land those glimmer shots as well, and just slowing down and being able to jump onto those enemies overall. And that's why it's a good pickup. I used to go for something like a Shadow Glass because thinking more damage, but really the Frostburn is must do on Sky for most cases.
Yeah, but I think it's also situational because it's okay to go for a Shatter Glass for most of the team, for most of the Sky games as well. But looking at the side of Brenchong, you don't have any utility or tools or skills to actually pin down the heroes except Sky's Frostburn damage. And there's an engagement going on first. We go to that.
It's like a bit of trade here because Blue City now out of that Drifting Dark, not going to be able to do as much damage, but it's going to be the wait for him, forcing Mr. Jim to back. It looks like Impunity just continuing to hold this pressure in lane, and they might even be able to take another turret for, and you talked about before, they know how to move as a unit, and they know how to get objectives from their kills, and it looks like they might have overstepped that boundaries, not quite respecting that Sky, and Sky just showing them once again, now 3-0, and putting a 3-3 kill match. And
man,
you can see how Impunity, they have the pressure. They just need to be careful because even though they've got the damage, they don't exactly have much defense on them. There's a Kinetic Shield coming out on FQ as well as some light armor, but it's not going to be enough. There's going to be Oblivion going down and it gets blocked. And Brenchong really showing why they're in this third place matchup and fighting for it, because they really, in the match before, at least what I heard, between Impunity and Brenchong, had a tough time. It's good to see them kind of, you said they need to regroup themselves together, and it looks like they've done that a bit, but I'm just waiting to see whether Impunity are going to make this turn into another snowball match, as they have taken the first turret with no real pressure being put on their own.
Yeah, and maybe this is the strategy that they are going on, because from the previous game, Sing C1 was on that Taka, and the Taka's job was to engage in, but it was quite difficult to engage on an aggressive composition from the previous game. But picking up a Sky right now, you can punish that aggression, which Sing C1 is just doing so well. And on the side of Team Impunity, I guess they have to currently really respect Team Brenchong, because yes, they're putting a lot of pressure, yes, they're pushing down the towers, but they are actually not respecting how much a Sky can actually put down the damage onto them. So after that 2 deaths, I'm sure that they are not going to give Sky any more opportunity to engage upon on them as well.
Yeah, and we're being told by Luxura that's supposed to be Sync 1, so we'll refer to the Sky as that from now on, as we see the engage of Impunity into Brenchong, and that Divine Intervention just helping DefQ get in there. But DefQ once again overstepping his bounds, does get caught out by the Sky. Will Samuel be able to find the kills that he needs, though, as Margin is on the run? There's the Imperial Sigil. Will it be enough to get them out there? Frostburn is on that Samuel, and it might be enough to slow him down, and they're able to find the kill. They're not going to get Sky and not the ace, but you can see that this Sky has got no defense. They actually sold their boots for a second there accidentally, which I was thinking would be funny if they were just going to go all in Shadow, but you still need that mobility on Sky, and that's what makes Sky work so well, because it's built into her kit quite a bit, the mobility. And I think that Vox needs to be a bit more cautious and leave it up to Samuel to be in the front line a bit more, because Samuel has that sustain in his kit, as well as having that Eve of Harvest now picked up. So maybe just playing it a bit more cautiously and a bit more cleanly from the side of Impunity. Otherwise, Brenchong might be able to bring this one back, as we see Sync 1 on the other side of the wall. Does use there from above, but is getting caught out by Blue City with a few of those Malice and Verdict shots, but I think they'll be fine for the moment.
Yeah, and as the game goes on into the later game, we can see that Brenchong is getting stronger and stronger by the minute, because these heroes really grow based off their items, and 6C1 is becoming much of a threat to Team Impunity.
However, Lyra going low here, does use the fountain early. Vespa wait for it, but they're able to get the portal through just in time. They're going to fight around the Crystal Sentry. It's going to be Sky first to fall this time, but can Martian do anything to get the kill onto the FQ? And Mr. Jim is there on the other side, but there's going to be the Divine Intervention coming down, but it doesn't matter because Mr. Jim is outputting the damage. They picked up the Samuel without me even noticing before that, because those are the first 3 kills going on to Mr. Jin. And you just talked about Brenchong at this point. They are getting stronger and stronger. I'm just happy to see that Brenchong having done what a lot of teams do when they start to play too passive and they back down and start to build a lot of defense. Of course, defense is necessary, but when you're trying to transition into this mid game, it is about who really takes control of it, and it's good to see them not backing down on the offensive items yet. And I think that's going to help them out a lot, and it can show in the confidence of play that Brenchong is doing right now. That's just amazing positioning by Mr. Jim, as well as seeing the double tyrants already built up. So we're now going to see another engage go down, and this looks a lot more in favor of Impunity, and they're grouped together fairly. So the Crystal Sentry is still up, but they're going to use the wait for it to manage to kill that Lyra and lock her down. And Kestrel was left unchecked again, able to pick up a kill onto DefQ, and since he wants still fairly healthy, there's going to be the one-shot one kill onto Quartervore. Maybe not the target you're looking for, but Sync 1 is still up and ready to fight. I wonder if Blue Sea is going to take this one. They have the man advantage. They need to be careful. Divine Intervention is up, and Sync C1 is going to fall for the trap, however, but it looks like he almost got Quartervore. There's going to be Divine Intervention used on Blue City, and it's going to be enough for Impunity to take that fight.
But lucky for Brenchong, that is not an ace. So, because if that was an ace, they can transition into the gold mine, and they as well taken down the sentry. So it wasn't such a bad trade for Brenchong, but we can see from all of this engagement that Impunity is not taking the full control of this team fight anymore. Brenchong has all the utility and the tools enough to take over any engagement, and they are confident enough to take on Impunity on a hit-on 3-on-3 engagement. But however, Lyra's getting caught up again.
We see Martian going low, so low, gets taken out, but there's going to be the response kill coming out by Mr. Jim onto that box once again. And they're trying to find Blue City, who's so low right now, but this could be turned around in an instant. You are dealing with a Samuel, and there's the fountain, but since he wasn't able to find an amazing forward barrage onto them and get the kill, they're looking for the ace. Since he wasn't trying to chase there, using the minions to target lock onto and so strike around, but it's not going to be enough. And Mr. Jim actually moving on to the Kraken right now, which isn't a bad idea. Mr. Jim definitely has the damage, but do they have the defense between the two of them? We'll just have to find out. There is the
They're
Kraken,
definitely getting the Kraken.
and it looks like they're going to get this without contest. Yeah. Quartervore didn't flare it out, but just a bit too late.
Now, but here's the interesting part about this match, that Margin is always getting caught out from Team Impunity. However, Brenchong always managed to seize that opportunity and turn it around. So I'm not sure whether it's a bait or it was just an honest mistake, and they were able to capitalize and to just regroup and to understand and capitalize on that mistake. So it's quite interesting to see that happening.
Now we'll be able to see the team of Brenchong engage as a whole team, and maybe having that man advantage will help out. But there's the wait for it, there's the dive in from the Grace, and they're going to use Arcane Passage to get out there. But Mr. Jim in a bad position, and this is looking dire. But Mr. Jim somehow staying alive through all of that, gets the double kill, and it's going to be Quartervore.
Wow.
Finally picking up the Kestrel, but meanwhile, Cincy1 able to just dance around and finish that off for the ace. Mr. Jim being massive this game and just showing us how to really play that weapon power Kestrel. And I thought weapon power Kestrel was dead, but I guess it's definitely changed in the meta to be a lot more based around those glimmer shots and not so much on building your stacks up, as we can see in the build by Mr. Jim. They got that Soul Blade, they got the double Tyrants, and then they've got the Bone Sword just to help shred through the armor if there's any, which we can see a Metal Jacket on Quartervore, and not much else on the jungler and carry for the side of Impunity. So do you think they need to start responding to that?
Yeah, I guess right now what they're gonna do is they're gonna pay some respect to Castro right now, because if they're not gonna build any of the defense, they're just gonna get mowed down by the glimmer shots. As we can see, it was like 500 to 600 damage each shot, and the problem here is that Vox requires some time to actually build up his damage, but Castro already has that instant damage. So if you're going to do an one-to-one exchange, Castro will always come up on top, and you have that sustain from Lyra as well. So it's really Impunity just having to give that respect, and I do hope that Vox would build a better jacket, but however he's going for that double reflex just to negate the Atlas.
One shot, one kill, just going to go out for, I guess, see if you can get anything with it. It's a 40-second cooldown, and on weapon power Kestrel, you don't need as much. Of course, you can use it to get anyone that's running away, but I think they're just going to take that chance. I'm not too sure why they did that, but the fight is going to break out here with Quarterwood being the one to jump in first. Once again, Lyra getting caught out. You did mention that before. There's the wait for it going on to Mr. Jim this time, but only for a second. And Sky in a bad position right now. Does need to find the safety of the team. And there's going to be Quarterwood with a massive jump over the wall onto Mr. Jim, but no re-engage from that because the Crystal Sentry is currently helping out with side of Brenchong. And it looks like Lyra might get caught out here. Mr. Jim is still around, and I'm wondering if Blue City has the damage. But you see, yeah, Samuel able to pick up a kill onto Lyra, and now Quarterboard actually doing quite a bit of work onto Mr. Jim, opening up an area of opportunity for Def Q to get a Q, and they're now going to move on to Sync 1, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to make it out alive, but a very close one because they did manage to take down the Grace, and you can see Def Q and Blue City at half health, but Impunity really starting to push back here. As they realized they were actually, at this point, you look objectively wise, they have 2 turrets left to before on the side of Brenchong, and they were kind of realizing we're starting to slip here, we need to get it together, and they just pushed through with a team fight. I think catching out Majin once again, which you have to wonder if it is the bait tactic, or if Majin simply is just having a trouble getting caught out, because they do have a good engaged team on the side of Impunity, so it is tough. One shot, one kill, so close to Def Q. Come on, Lyra. If Majin was there with the steal, I was wondering where the Imperial Sigil was. I believe it is used as a speed boost to get there. So now Brenchong have to deal with this Kraken, and we know how good Impunity are at shutting out these games with Kraken, so we're going to have to see how they respond to it.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be so worried so much about Brenchong because they work best kiting backwards, and with the Kraken in such of a manner of mowing down the lane, it's just working on the advantage of Brenchong.
We see that Grace diving in once again. Mr. Jim pretty low on the backline in Sync 1 following suit with that. They have to back off from that initial turret and go back to base to heal up, while Majin trying to stay around and hold before it. Kraken already fairly low. I think this won't be a game ender right now, but if the Ace were to go over to Impunity, it might end up that way. So Brenchong still need to play this one safely, and so do Impunity, as they decide to back out of this current fight. But Majin going in with the follow, using the boots there, using the Bright Bulwark to lock them down for a second, and since the Sync 1 trying to get those Frostburn, I guess just get the Frostburn damage off with the forward barrage, but they're not going to be able to find a kill just yet. You can see Impunity haven't fully disengaged from this fight, and it looks like they're making that decision now, but they were ready to have some kind of counterplay, and it shows that they are confident where they are. We're 21 minutes in, and if you look at the builds, a lot of damage items coming out from both teams here. What I'm wondering though is the amount of defense on Def Q. Do you think that is suitable because of the glimmer shots coming out from Kestrel?
I think from the previous engagement, we can see that what DevQ is actually trying to do is not to go on to Castro, but actually to catch out Sing C1, because it's all about dodging that forward barrage and that Suri strike as well. And a hero like Vox does that pretty well. So he's probably getting a lot of reflex blocks to block out the Atlas. His boots is on tier 3 right now, and his objective is to take down Sing C1, because if he's going to trade with Castro, I don't think he can do it.
Cordoval once again jumping onto that Kestrel. They need to be careful to not walk into one of those active camos because that could end up being the game changer for the side of Brenchong. But you see Cordoval being very good before jumping in, always putting down these flares. And there's going to be the one shot, one kill once again. I believe not landing. There's no stacks on that Kestrel just yet. And Impunity actually on the back foot for a lot of these fights in terms of they're not getting anywhere, and Brenchong able to just disengage nicely and use that Lyra to stay so sustained.
Yeah, and as the time goes by, like I said, that you're just giving Brenchong more and more tools and utility to get stronger to defeat you, and there's an engagement going on right now.
The death from above was used, but not able to stun anyone out, just slowing them down. And you see Cordoval using that divine intervention on themselves. There's no echo on the Grace, however, but that's only on a 20-second cooldown. So if they wait for a fight, they would have it up just again. But there's going to be the Vox engaging onto Sync 1, as you mentioned before. And he's going to run into the death from above. He gets stunned up for a second, but Martian is nearby to try lock him down. He goes in with the Arcane Passage, followed by the... man. It's happening too fast as Vox is just turning this one around. The bright bulwark is the word I was looking for. But Impunity, I thought this was really going to be a Brenchong fight, and I think that's why I was so stunned there. And speaking of stunned, it's going to be Cordoval for just a second, but Impunity now going to turn their attention to the Kraken. Unless there's a steal, this one might be the game ender, however.
Yeah, okay. So we were talking throughout the game that Brenchong does so well kiting backwards, but what happened there is Majin went in with a portal and forced Kestrel and Sky to go in the portal as well, and that turned out so bad. That was definitely the wrong decision for the team Brenchong, because it allows more distance towards the Vox, and Vox finally can close that gap between Sky and just take down whoever is close by to him. So a mistake there for Majin, and I really do hope, and like you said, Impunity takes Kraken push really well. So we have to see that what Brenchong can put up, and can they defend these final two turrets, because they do have the tools and utility to take down Kraken really fast, but it's all about not getting caught at this last engagement.
And I think Brenchong might need to push out their base a bit to at least meet Kraken before it gets all the way in. And it's going to be up to Impunity to really kind of force them back towards their turrets before getting any damage down onto that Kraken, because you know how tough these situations can be once that Kraken is in the base with all three members of the enemy team. And it's just a lot to focus on and a lot to think about. We see Mr. Jim kind of up in the front lines here, putting down a lot of damage with those glimmer shots, and Def Q is going low. There's going to be the Oblivion, but it doesn't land onto anyone. Meanwhile, Kraken is still fairly healthy. They're looking for the kill onto Def Q here, and Sky's going to jump in. Will find it. They could just turn around and focus Kraken right now, but they're making sure Impunity is out of their base for the meantime. They're probably going to lose a turret here, but you said they had the damage to defend. They should be able to protect this last one.
Yep, and a very nice gameplay decision by Mr. Jim. Not because usually players would just stand in between tower feeling really secure over there, but what he did was he was distracting three of the Team Impunity's hero from above the tower. So that was a really good decision to distract and to actually force Team Impunity to try to make an engagement which they did not which they weren't successful with, and they will manage to defend the Kraken because of that mistake.
And we now see another opportunity for the side of Brenchong to bring this one back. It's such a close game. If they lose this one, it is a definite third place for Impunity. But if they're able to win, then they get that chance at a third match. How do you think they should go about this one, as long as Impunity don't jump on them there? And I'll hand the question off to you.
Yeah, so looking at this situation, the thing is that Brenchong don't want to repeat their mistake where they jump into Team Impunity and they just get mowed down by Vox. But the problem is that Team Impunity, you should know that Team Impunity is the team that they like to aggress. So they should take this opportunity to take upon that aggression and give it to their advantage, like what Team Impunity is doing right now.
And there's the one shot, one kill going in. Kestrel actually invisible at the time. They might be able to lead them into one of these active camos, but look at Blue City taking so much damage on the backline. There's going to be Fountain popped on the side of Impunity. Martian going in with that Bright Bulwark once again, followed through the Arcane Passage and trying to get onto Def Q. There's going to be Def from above landing, massive by Sync 1. And meanwhile, Blue City still up on the backline, fighting out with Mr. Jim. It's two separate fights going around, but Mr. Jim just takes the second to turn around and help out, secure that kill onto Boxman. Now looking, a bit of miscommunication there between Margin and Mr. Jim, as they were almost able to catch out Blue City. But it looks like Lyra has the damage on their own. Meanwhile, Sky taking out Cordova on that Grace, and they're able to get the kill. They could go for Kraken, but it looks like they're just going to end the game here with 35 seconds left on Def Q. They have 2 turrets to push through. I believe they can do it right now, and this turret is basically gone already.
Yeah,
so Brenchong with that comeback, and I asked you the question, what did they have to do? And you said not jump in like that, and they didn't. They played around the fight and very well, and I think they were able to split apart the team of Impunity, and that's what led to the success there.
Yeah, so I guess to really just put it out there that Brenchong has what it takes to take on the top tier team. The problem is that Impunity has to realize and to actually not undermine that Brenchong is like lower in mechanical skills, and to really respect what Brenchong can bring into the table, because we can see a lot of early mistakes that allow Brenchongs to have a small gap of breather and allow them to get their items, and led to this late game where Sky is just unbeatable. He's just able to just go around, and Mr. Jim just laying down those glimmer shot and laying down so much damage. And Brenchong should know that their best strategy is to just really just play back that kite hero, because you know Impunity is going to be aggressive, right? So just play on that advantage, play what you do best from the back lines, and we'll see how they can take this on the third game.
Well, we won't have the third match online, however, but we will update you on the results.